Your online radio. The new online radio that makes you happy.
The Good Governance Radio. Good Governance Radio. This is the Good Governance Radio.
All right, time check from our studio. It's 1 minute gone past the hour of 9 o'clock, and this is Good Governance Radio, where we are set to bring you the newspaper review this morning. Of course, I'm not alone in the studio this morning. My name is Chris Bassi. I also have with me
Tony Ayodele. How was the night? With everyone who listened to us this morning. Chris, how was your day?
Very well, thank you. All right, this morning we have three newspapers with us here. We have the Vanguard newspaper, and this is the newspaper. Tony?
And then we have the Punch newspaper. Okay, let me begin with the Punch. And the Punch headline reads, military bombard bandits in North Central Forest with the rider, nav bombs, kill 500 cows, 200 missing in Nasarawa, alleges Mehdi Allah. Report of 1,000 cow killed unrealistic, nav. Troops bombard Katsina Forest. And on the top of the mark said, inflation pushed 7 million Nigerians below poverty line by World Bank. Oshibaju text writes, locally assembled electric car, says innovation fantastic. How Minister laundered $37 million through property deal, EFCC chair. Reps confused as EFCC, AMCON fight on designing assets. And on the bottom strip, pastor kidnapped by Boko Haram 8 months ago, freed in Borno. Other states frustrating our plans to reform Almajiri system. You can get that on page 17. Niger community residents raise 5 million motorcycles, free leaders' wives. That one is on page 5. I think that is all for the Punch newspaper.
All right, let me move to the Vanguard newspaper. Starting from this one that says Nigeria to reduce imports by 35% in Q1 2022. That's coming from the governor of the central bank, Godwin Emefiele. And this one says the rise in prices sends 7 million more Nigerians into poverty. Who is saying that that's coming from the World Bank with the riders. Says prices increasing rapidly, advocates measures to protect poor people from inflation. Nigeria faces interlinked challenges: inflation, insecurity, limited job opportunities. NBS reports 17.9% inflation rate for May. Food inflation highest in Kogi, Kwara, Enugu, Ogun. Anambra, Nigeria grappling with worst economic challenge in history, says OPS. Anti-open grazing laws about people, not government. That's coming from the governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi, with the rider. Says no land for ranching in Southeast. Stop peddling fake news about security situation in Southeast. Some leaders, elites lack patriotism. Details of that story can be found on page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper. This one says AstraZeneca's antibody treatment fails to prevent COVID-19 in exposed patients. Nigeria on life support at crossroads, coming from Otom and Fintiri. That's the governor of Benue State and Adamawa State, respectively. This one says you must end insurgency, banditry orders, Reptile's new army chief. You can read details of that story from the page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Now let's take a few sport stories here. Ronaldo becomes Euro's highest scorer ever. Okay, another feat there by Cristiano Ronaldo. Super Falcons, their world champions, USA. Man United offer Ronaldo £17 million a year contract with Pogba backs to Juventus as swap deal. All right, that will do on Vanguard newspaper. Turn it back to you.
And there, on this day, on top of the mark says Buhari rallies West African states to battle insecurity. With a rider, Army chief says synergy now better among service chiefs. CBN seek to slash importation by 35%. World Bank, rising prices push 7 million Nigerians below poverty line. With three riders says reforms needed to reduce inflation, accelerate recovery. Blames lack of economic opportunities for insecurity, criminality in Nigeria. Moderation in food prices slow inflation to 17%. I think that is all for this day, this morning. You can get better more of this story by getting this on the newsstand.
All right, Tony, we'll be going for a short break, and when we return, we'll dish out details of all of these stories. Please stay with us. This is still Good Governance Radio.
Check your systems are offline.
This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us. You are listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us.
All right, glad to have you rejoin us on Good Governance Radio this morning for our newspaper review segment. You can also join conversation with us on 0913-023-6602. And you can log onto our website at www.ggr.com.ng. All right, let's quickly go back to our papers and take details of some of the headlines that we read for you before now. And of course, the biggest headlines on almost all the newspapers this morning has to do with the rise in food prices. And this will definitely form a topic of discussion during a discussion segment much later on the program. So let's take this particular headline once again and give you details. Rise in prices sends 7 million more Nigerians into poverty. And we have so many reactions coming from major stakeholders like the World Bank and others. The World Bank yesterday said the high inflation rates caused by a rise in prices of goods and services has pushed additional 7 million Nigerians by 2020. Meanwhile, the National Bureau of Statistics, NBC, yesterday released the Consumer Price Index, CPI report, which showed that the annual inflation rate fell marginally to 17.9% in May, representing a 0.19% points year-on-year decline from 18.12% in April. The upward trend in prices of goods and services reflected in the annual inflation rate, which rose to a 4-year high of 18.17% in March this year. While noting that the upward trend in prices of goods and services will persist in the second half of 2021, the World Bank, among other things, called for measures to protect poor Nigerians from inflation. Rises in prices send 7 more Nigerians into poverty. Tony, you also have these particular headlines on this newspaper.
We all know the economic situation in the country now, and we believe that with this information coming out from the World Bank and the Bureau of Statistics, it's also to alert us that things is not going well in the country, especially in terms of the economic situation. We are talking about the security, and we are still talking about food increase. Everybody knows that we have having a problem in terms of food, and what is the economic implication to this shows that the government is not really looking into a lot of activities in the country, because what they say, an angry man is an hungry man is an angry man. And when you have no food in your tummy, what else happen? Every other things come to stand still. But what we need to do now is for the government to really look into the economic situation of this country, especially with the issue of insecurity in the country, where we have food shortage in the country. People are not going to the farm to farm. So what do you expect? We should expect this kind of thing coming up. And when people don't go to farm to make money, poverty sets in. I think these are the problems we are trying to face in this country now. And I believe with these issues now, I think the federal government and the state government needs to put in place a measure, and the food bank, they need to see how we can get out of this. But some few weeks ago, I was discussing with a friend the current price of foodstuff in the market, and it was so alarming that every day you can't be sure of what's going to be the cost of the next food you just get in the market. So it shows that. And what is the purchasing power of ordinary Nigerians to pick these things on the market? So I believe it's seriously a big problem in the country now.
All right, Tony, I quite agree with you. You talked about rise in food prices. Just a few days ago, a popular Nigerian actor actually posted a picture of 6 pieces of plantain where he bought it for 6,000 naira. I knew that was actually some sort of exaggeration. Probably he bought
might not.
One of the 5,000 shopping
no, it might
malls
not be.
all of that.
It might not be,
Again,
Chris. It might not be, because if you really go to the market today, you find out that things are really, really very expensive on a high price. Yesterday, my wife was just telling me that a module of beans is now 900 naira. A module.
I used to be about 500, 600.
Well, that shows that
Few months ago,
and we were even discussing about some. So it might not be exaggerating that price, because even a friend 2 weeks ago or last week was telling me that just plantain about 2,000 naira. What about talking about gari and other things, palm oil, granite oil? All these things are very expensive in the market now. Nobody goes to market today. If you give your wife for 10,000-20,000 to go to the market, you will just come with just a handful of nylon bag. So I think the things is really very, very alarming now. I think the federal government, in as much as you are trying to sort out the security situation in the country, we should also look at the food, because things are really, really going hard. You can remember some months back, when the Northerners are saying they are not bringing food to the South because of this crisis, and some of these perishable goods that's along the way, because of this kidnapping and all this stuff, they were not able to come down to the South to sell their perishable items. All these things got spoiled on the road. So there are many, many problems that this insecurity is causing to this country, especially in terms of going to the farm, selling your goods, and bringing them to the market for people to purchase. Then also the economic situation in the country. When you look at the salary of ordinary civil servant in the country, how much does it go home? What's the pay pack? You can see what is happening in Nasarawa when the civil servants, they decide to go on strike for the minimum wage of 30,000 naira. So I think all encompassing, there's a really, really need for the federal government to really find solutions to this problem.
All right, let's still stay with the economy and take this particular story from the governor of the CBN, Nigeria to reduce imports by 35% in Q1 2022, as CBN promises to print Gambian currency. The nation will record about 35% cut in its import bill in the first quarter of 2022. That according to the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. He spoke yesterday in Abuja while receiving a delegation led by the governor of the Central Bank of Gambia, Mr. Bua Saidi. He also expressed the readiness of Nigeria to print the Gambian currency, Dalasi. That's the name of the currency for the West African country. According to him, with the coming on stream of the Dangote refinery and petrochemical plant and others with the capacity to produce about 6.5 million tons of urea, Nigeria will have more petroleum and petrochemical product needed locally with the excess available for export. Today, what's your take on this particular one? to a reduction of imports by 35%. A lot of people are saying that the ban on importation of some goods is actually one of the factors that is responsible for the increase in food prices. And now the CBN is saying they still want to reduce imports by 35% in 2022. What does this portray for the economy of the country?
Well, there's a difference between making a policy and executing the policy. And if the CBN has also been coming out with different kind of policies in terms of importations of goods and banning some and unbanning some, giving some goods waivers to bring into the country. But the actual issue is this: when these policies are being made, you don't have any feedback mechanism to really know that some of these things are being affected in terms of operational of these policies. So at times when you look at some certain things in the country, you find out that the CBNs will always come out with a different kind of policy, whereby which will affect the forex.
All right, sorry to cut you in. I think we have a caller online.
Okay.
Okay, we lost that particular caller.
All right, you can still be to be part of the program. You can call on 01930236602, or you can send us an SMS on the same number so that we can have your feel of what we are talking about there. Well, we've just talked about the food increase in the food price in the market, and we are looking at the economics also. So, like I said, we just have to really understand the bans. When you talk about partition of banning rice, textiles, some other things, and some of these that we're talking about. But yet, if you look at our local made, some of these items are also very expensive. So banning them is good in order to help our economy, but also the availability of these things in our country is another thing. It's still the problem. If you want to go and buy local rice now, local rice goes for around 32 to 30,000 naira. Local rice. We call it local or foreign. What I know is rice is rice. So, but if you look at the foreign rice too, what is the price? So, how can this banning of all these things will affect our economy so that we can have a good price from some of these things? So, but let's just see what goes and see how it affects the economy of the country. Also, talking about printing.
Yes, I actually want to take you on that because that's an interesting story.
Well, in Nigeria is the giant of Africa. That's the normal slogan in Africa, and we are brothers keeper. But I still believe that this policy for the ECOWAS having a common currency, I think by the time this comes into place, I think we're able to have a good way of managing our district. But printing for them, well, it's okay. I think it's part of.
No, but what do you make of the fact that we see some of our, very sensitive and high security, products such as the voter, the INEC. Whatever is it the
voters card and the
ballot papers and even the international passport, because recently we're having a lot of issues printing it abroad. Then if our security the printing and minting company is this sophisticated, then why do we still have to print the ballot papers and the passport booklets abroad? Now that we're offering to print currency for Gambia, and we can't print the ballot papers and the passport booklets in Nigeria by this same security and minting company.
Believe me sincerely, I believe some time ago when this issue was raised with INEC, they were talking about the Nigerian factor and the mentality of they can find their way in and somebody else can duplicate it and the security code. But I think by 2023, with this online voting that Nigeria are clamoring for, maybe some of these things will be phased out, and we believe that we have a good number of opportunities in this country. It's just the problem is just how to manage it. I see no reason why, like you said, those things need to be printed abroad and shipping it then. But I think some of them are now being printed in Nigeria because of the economic reason and because of the forex involved. I think some of them are not going to be printed. But going forward, doing this for the Gambia, I think it's also very good to us.
Playing that big brother role once again for a neighboring country. Okay, let's still take a bit of security matters right here, because in Nigeria, a day would not go by where we would not have issues that are related to security making headlines in some of the dailies. And the chief of army staff was at the the Green Chamber of the National Assembly yesterday, answering questions from the lawmakers. And the story has this: you must end insurgency, banditry, orders Reptile's new army chief. The House of Representatives yesterday mandated the newly appointed Chief of Army Staff, Major General Farouk Yahya, to end the threat of insecurity in the country, if confirmed by the National Assembly. The House said the war against insurgency in the Northeast had cost the country a lot of financial resources, with many lives lost. The charges were handed down to the new Army Chief during his screening and confirmation by the Joint House Committee on Defense and Army, respectively, chaired by Babajimi Benson, representing Ikorodu Federal Constituency of Lagos State, and Abdurazak Namdas from Adamawa State. This is an equivalent tax. Do you have confidence in this man, ending insurgency and banditry distance time?
No. Yes, because he has been there. I think he has served many chief of army staffs, and he has been a frontline officer in fighting this banditry in the Northeast. And I believe that he has gotten he has the experience, and with the cooperation of other service chiefs, I think he will perform very well. And with the new plans that he had for the fighting this banditry and insurgent, I think he will be able to do well. There's nothing so, the normal way of take a bow and go asking some questions from this that need to be confirmed from the House. It's a normal thing. Yeah. And because most of them have had the privilege of having one or two talk with him, and I believe that he's competent, because that's why the president decided to say go back there and work. And the day it was announced, you can see the jubilation in the armed forces, especially those on the front line, and because they believe in him and they know that he has been there and he will surely perform. But I believe it's a matter of everybody cooperation to cooperate with him. And once we have that, and he has the equipment and the boys are happy, their welfare is being taken care of, and their equipment are there, I think in a long, short distance time, that this kind of story that we are talking about, insecurity, I won't say completely off, but at least it will be reduced to some extent.
Barest minimum. All right. Okay, you're still listening to Good Governance Radio, GGR, and you can join conversation with us on our newspaper review this morning. Our WhatsApp number is 0913023 6602. You can also stream live at www.ggr.com.ng. Send us your question and your comment, and of course we'll be able to take it live here in the studio. We still have Tony Ayodele, who's definitely doing justice to some of the headlines that we have in the news this morning. And let's quickly move to the State of the Nation, talking about a constitution review. Give us new constitution by before 2023. Who is asking for this? This is coming from the Pan Yoruba Social Culture organization, the Afenifere, and of course the Ohaneze, Ndibo, and the MBF. Apex Social-Cultural and Political Organizations, Afenifere, Juanes Ndibo, Middle Belts Forum, and Pan Niger Delta Forum, PANDEV, yesterday urged the federal government to give the country a new people-oriented federal constitution before the 2023 elections to avert Nigeria's drift towards another civil war and force disintegration. The group stated this in a communique issued at the end of an inter-ethnic peace dialogue with the theme Restructuring and 2023 Power Shift, Nigeria's make or break factor for political survival, convened by Comrade Kennedy Iyere and organized in Abuja by Youth of the Streets Initiative and its diaspora partners in collaboration with ethnic nationalities and other NGOs. This is a huge demand, Tony. This is a huge one. 2023 new constitution. How visible is this demand coming from Afenifere, Ohaneze, and NBF?
There's freedom of speech and freedom of expression.
Of course.
They are only expressing their own freedom, fundamental human right to say this is what they want, and this is. But the reality on the ground is, how possible is it? People are saying, Nigerians are saying that the national constitution that's amended that we are working on, is not we, the people of Nigeria. And from the beginning of this democracy in Nigeria, we are having clamoring for amendment, new constitution. But I think the current moves by this Ninth Assembly try to make some amendment or making some input into the constitution. I believe they'll do justice to it, because they know what Nigerians are clamoring for. They know where we have problem in our constitution, especially devolution of powers. I think that's the major concern, that we are having problem with this constitution. Then they also believe that the power is too much on the center, that the power should be given to the states, most especially the local government and the state, so that they can have access to their resources. So I think majorly what we are all trying, the Nigerians are all saying, is that this new constitution, or this constitution review committee, should really look at critical areas that Nigerians are finding very difficult to implement, especially the judiciary aspect of it, our laws, and the power given too much to the centers, especially when you talk about the national resources, that everybody should control resources and give little back to the center, rather than from center giving back to the state. So I believe let's see the outcome of the work so far, and I believe that Nigeria are making a lot of stakeholders, organizations are involved, and they are bringing down their own amendment and the areas, especially also this INEC, the Electoral Act, supposed to also be looking to. They are looking at diaspora voting. Definitely. These are all these things that Nigerians are talking about. The diaspora should also have a right to vote. But I believe that let's cooperate. Whoever has any contribution to make should also write his own report and send it to the appropriate review committee, and let them see, rather than saying that this is what we want, how long will it take us to have a new constitution? But I believe that as time goes on, when we get there one day where we'll have enough time. But meanwhile, I believe let us just make some corrections in the one that we are still working on.
All right, Tony, we definitely have to take one story before we go on a short break. And there seems not to be an end to, the war of words between Twitter, the Nigerian government, and the Nigerian youth. And Twitter and the federal government is in the news this morning. Twitter's founder, Jack Dorsey, liable for NSAS losses that's coming from the federal government. The federal government said yesterday that Twitter and its founder, Jack Dorsey, are vigorously liable for the losses the country suffered during the NSAS protests last year. The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed stated this yesterday when he featured on the Politic Nationwide in one of the media houses in the country. Mohammed alleged that Dorsey raised funds through bitcoins to sponsor the NSAS protest, while his platform Twitter was used to fuel the crisis. He said when he made the allegation earlier, Nigeria did not take him serious until an online media outfit carried out investigation and fact-checking. The minister said the online publication confirmed that Jack Dorsey retweeted some of the posts by some of the coalition supporting NSAS.
Is it now that the federal government is now coming out with this fact or the coming out with this information? It shows how our intelligence are working in this country. If Twitter has not doctored some of the president speech, would they now come out and say they are now giving us this information? When that NSAS issue, that's October, what has been the response? How did they not know that it was through Twitter they were tweeting some of the events that is happening? I believe our government should come out to be sincere at times. They should not allow when an event or an issue happens before they can. Now they need to be on their toes. This Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, they're all there. They're also using it. Is it now that the Lai Mohammed is now saying the Twitter was part of NSAS issue? I don't think that. I don't think it's something that it should not. It should not create. It should not create.
I used in support of the government proposed regulation of social media. Because judging by what you're trying to say, that the government should be proactive.
No.
Proactivity.
I'm not in support, because I'm not in support of that. You see, you can regulate
the use of social media.
You can regulate it, but you will not take the fundamental rights of the citizen.
The freedom of expression, freedom of speech.
You can't take it away from. You can't take it away from the citizen, but you have to put some checks and balances on the table. So you can't. It's not possible.
But what do you make of the international, external influences coming from the owner of Twitter? Because true to what Lai Mohammed said, he has actually been retweeting even the June 12th protests. He was also involved in retweeting the Nigerian flag and all of that. And at the point when the federal government was actually saying that the NSAS was being funded by, some international organization. A lot of people didn't believe, but Lai Mohammed is actually, making reference.
Is it now that the information is on his table? You see, we are all in the 21st century. A government that is on top of issues should give us information at the right time. You won't wait for something to happen before you start giving us all this information. Yes, you said you were making it, but you didn't come with facts. So if the Minister of Information is now coming out to give us these details because something has happened, October till this month should be almost about 7 or 6 months when the NSAS issue happened. Why did he not come out with this file? So I believe that all the federal government needs to do is just to always be very pro to any activities on issue and give. You see, communication is very important. When you communicate to the citizen at the right time, you will not find yourself trying to look for issues or now to come up and to cover up some of your lapses. So I believe that the federal government, they are trying to manage the situation because of the outcry over there on banning Twitter, and so they still want to justify their action. But I believe that it is not right, though they have their own reason for doing that. But also they should also look at the international law of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and since the Nigerians signed some of this treaty in the international community, they should also abide by it.
Of course.
But I believe that the federal government and the owner of Twitter should find a way to sort out this problem, because I believe a lot of people are making money from this. Our young ones are making, and now it's affecting them seriously.
All right, you're still listening to Good Governance Radio, GGR, and as we've said, you can join conversation with us on 0913 You can also stream live at www.ggr.com. .ng. This is still newspaper review this morning with the duo of Chris Bassi and Tony Ayodele. We'll be going for a short break. When we return, we'll take one or two more stories and before we call it a day on the program this morning. Please to stay with us.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Let's go. This is your radio, your station.
GGR, Good Governance Radio.
I think these are the problems we are trying to face in this country now, and I believe these are the problems we are trying to face in this country. Goods that's along goods that's along
Good Governance Radio.
All right, you're welcome back. This is still Good Governance Radio. Right here on the Wednesday morning, we're here in the studio, taking you through the newspaper review, the duo of Chris Bassey and Tony Ayodele. We've definitely, gone a bit far in terms of doing justice to some of the screaming headlines on the pages of the dailies this morning. And of course, we also want to say a very big thank you to you, viewers and listeners, for actually taking our time to join the conversation with us. And we have a few comments here on our social media platform. We want to quickly take them before we move to the till end of the program. And I have this one here from Aluya Andrew. Respect. It says the governors of Benue and Adamawa have contributed greatly to Nigeria being on life support. Politicians have started with their rhetorics. That's coming from Aluya Andrew. Respect. This one from Abechi Williams. He says, what does investigation mean to you, as it is used by the Minister of Information, Mr. Commentator? We as people can be doing things the same way and still expect a different result. Nigeria is in its wilderness, just as the Israelites. We will get to our promised land sooner or later. God bless Nigeria. Betty Williams, thank you very much for your comment. Tony, I think that particular comment was directed to you. What does the minister mean by what did he say again? Investigation.
Well, in Nigeria, that is in common language that we are still investigating on any issue. So I think they're still investigating the roles played by Twitter during the NSAS and any other things that are to come up with a fact. So I think that is what he's trying to say, that they are still investigating. So Nigerian continue to investigate on issues. Okay,
investigation continues. And quickly, let's take this particular. One of the comments actually came from one the headlines that we read, though we didn't go into details of that. The statement credited to Otom and Fintiri, right there, that Nigeria is on life support. All right, the guy said that the two governors are also contributing to where we are today. But let's still take this particular story from another governor that is also very, very outspoken when it comes to the state of the nation. Insecurity, stop shifting responsibilities to governors. Wike tells Buhari. Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, says it is unconstitutional for the president, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, to shift his constitutional responsibility of securing lives and property of Nigerians to state governors. The governor, in a statement by his media head, Calvin Ebiri, said the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces and cannot declare that governors are in charge of security in their respective states. Wike, who spoke at the inauguration of the 21-kilometer Odufo Akpoku Umueche Road in Eche local government area of the state on Tuesday, said such a position suggests that the All Progressives Congress-led federal government lacked strategies on how to tackle insecurity in the state. Tony, I'm actually looking for that particular comment where he said that the president should not just reduce himself to collecting loan, borrowing money, that should also take responsibility when it comes to security. That's coming from Wike. What's your take on this particular assertion by Governor Wike?
Governor Wike is an opposition party, and you always have something as an opposition party. They always want, that's part of their role. When
Watchdog.
when PDP was in government, you can know what other opposition party, now that the ruling party, did to PDP. But what I want to ask Governor Wike is this: when they were elected, I don't know, is part of their constitutional responsibility is also to secure life and properties of their citizens. So it has to be a synergy work, both the federal and the state. But when it now comes to issue that the blame should be on the president, yes, he's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic, but they too have their, what do they do with their security vote? Security vote, billions of naira for security vote. Why are they collecting security vote if the securing the lives and properties is for the president? So let us go away from some rhetorics that some of these politicians try to put us into. Every month, these governors allocate billions of naira to themselves as a security vote. So what is it meant for? It's not to secure your own state. Let's take away, when a commissioner of police is being posted to a state, the first point of call is to the governor. I'm here to support you in securing your citizen. So when we start hearing some of these things from the governors that are saying that is the federal government that is this, what is their own role too? Are they there just to collect the vote? Were they voted in just to sit down there without also helping the federal government to secure their citizens that voted them into the power? So let us come out of this issue of that, yes, the federal government is to secure. Every governor, every leader has a responsibility to secure your people. So let the Governor Wike come out and say, why are they not having this regional policing now? Why are they having these vigilantes? It's also to contribute. What is the total workforce of the Nigerian police force? So it's not by, if you say that the federal government duty is to secure the citizen, they are also there to secure their own citizen too, by also contributing their own quota, working in the synergy with the Nigerian police, Nigerian army, the Nigerian Navy. And more so, you find out that some of these governors, what they do with their money is to buy vehicles, buy machine, and speedboat for the riverine people. Is it not part of securing their citizen and the nation? So I think we should just go out of this issue of that putting blames on the president. Everybody's hands must be on deck to secure his citizen. Definitely.
All right. Finally, let's take this particular one, Tony, briefly, maybe within just about 2 minutes. I wanted to react to this one coming from David Umahi. We talked about opposition governor. This is an APC governor talking here. Anti-open grazing laws about people not, governor says no land for ranching in the zone. Which zone? Southeast. Stop peddling fake news about security situation in Southeast. And some leaders elite like patriotism. Ebonyi State Governor David Umahi has said that states in the Southeast zone of the country have laws banning open grazing, insisting also that there is no land for ranching in his state. Umahi, who stated this on Monday evening while appearing as a guest on a media platform, said this is not about the governors, it is about the people. So whatever position the people take in this regards, that is what will happen. There is no land in this regard that is not owned by individuals, corporate bodies. Tony, what's your reaction to this? The president came up to talk about, cattle route or something, and now a governor that is in the same party with the president is saying there is nothing of sorts in the eastern part of the country. What do you make of this?
If you listen to our members representing us in the National Assembly, when the president made that statement during an interview with one of the media stations, he said he asked the Attorney General to bring out the Gazette where they have routes, grazing routes in the government, so that they can look at it as a route. But some people came up and to say that that law was made during the military era, that is 1960, thereabout. But you see, the issue is this: there's a time where the president and the federal government are saying that let everybody go back to ranches. And some governors said they have land to give, and some said they don't have the land. So it depends on the individual. It depends on the state. Depends on what you have. If you have, when you look at the landmark in this country, you find out that the north has more landmark than some other parts of the country. So if the South, if the governor Emir is now saying that he's representing the people, and if the people says they don't have land, who are the people? The government is the people. And if the people are saying we don't have the land, and the government said there is land, let the governors have a meeting. And they have had a meeting. They had a meeting some time ago to say we are opposing open grazing. We are against it. Let everybody go into ranches. I think it's a better position to know. But what we are saying is that let us end these headers and farmers clashes in this country. Whatever may be the way out, let everybody come into the round table and find solution to it.
All right, thank you very much, Tony, for your incisive analysis on all the topical issues. But before we go, let's quickly take this sports story, because I do know that some of our listeners are sport lovers, and probably the show would not be complete for them if we do not take one or two sports stories. Ronaldo becomes Euros highest scorer ever. Cristiano Ronaldo double made him Euros record scorer ever as old as Portugal's stone unlucky Minos Hungary with a late triple. Ronaldo backed an 87-minute spot kick and a glorious stoppage time clincher to give him 11 strikes in European Championship finals, two more than Michel Platini. Rafael Guerrero had only bundled Portugal on 83rd minutes to break the heart of 61,000 fans in Budapest. All right, we have fixtures of matches in Euros today. Finland will take on Russia at 2 p.m. Turkey will take on Wales 5 p.m. and Italy will take on Switzerland at 8 p.m. And result of yesterday matches: Hungary 0, Portugal 3, France 1, Germany 0. That was a clash of the Titans. All right, with that sports stories, we've come to the end of newspaper review for today on the Good Governance Radio GGR. And I want to sincerely thank our viewers and listeners who actually, followed us through in the course of the program, and for those that actually sent your comments. We really, really appreciate. We hope you join us tomorrow, same time, for another edition of this particular program. And to my colleague and in-house commentator, Tony Ayodele. Tony, thank you very much for also doing justice to some of the topical issues emanating from the dailies this morning.
It's my pleasure. All
right, my name is Chris Bassi. Do join us tomorrow for another edition of the newspaper review on Good Governance Radio. Our transmission still continues on our platform at www.ggr.com.ng. Please do have a good day.
This is the Good Governance Radio. Good Governance Radio. You are listening to GGR, Good Governance